who buried 11 women in the desert. The West Mesa Bone Collector's Trail. Before we dive in, kindly hit the subscribe button and let us know where you are watching from in the comment. It was February 2nd, 2009. A clear, cold morning in Albuquerque, New Mexico. A woman named Christine Ross stepped outside her house on the West Mesa with her dog, Ruka. The sun had just started to rise, painting the desert in pale gold. The kind of morning that felt calm, peaceful. But within minutes, that peace would shatter. Ruka darted ahead, nose to the ground. The dog had picked up a scent, something buried in the hard, dry dirt. Christine called for her to stop, but Ruka didn't listen. The dog started digging. Christine sighed. "Ruka, come here." Then she saw it. Something pale. Something that didn't belong. First, she thought it was a bone. Maybe from a cow or a coyote. Animals died out here all the time. But as she looked closer, she froze. It wasn't an animal bone. It looked human. Christine's stomach dropped. She took out her phone, snapped a quick photo and sent it to her sister, a nurse. Her sister's reply came seconds later. "That's a human femur. Call the police. Now." The first officers arrived fast. They thought maybe it was just a single body, maybe a buried victim, a homeless person, or something from years ago. But when they started digging, they realized this was no accident. And no one buried just one body out here. They found another bone, then another, then a piece of jewelry. Within hours, the West Mesa had become a crime scene, and soon a nightmare. The police called in the Albuquerque Police Department's Major Crimes Unit. Detectives sealed off the area, stretching yellow tape across the barren desert. Helicopters hovered above, kicking up dust that mixed with the smell of something rotten, old, and long forgotten. What Christine had found was the beginning of something massive. As forensic teams dug deeper, they uncovered more bones. Human bones. Dozens of them. Then, they realized something horrifying. These weren't scattered remains. They were graves. 11 graves. All women. All buried close together. All hidden beneath the desert's shifting sand. The media soon called the killer the West Mesa Bone Collector. Before the discovery, this land had been quiet, an empty stretch of desert at the city's edge, the kind of place developers ignored and kids used for dirt bike rides. But now, under that same dirt, detectives were uncovering the remains of 11 human beings. Each bone told a story. Each skull whispered a secret. Who were they? How long had they been here? And who buried them this way, neatly, deliberately, like trophies? Detective Ida Lopez was among the first to arrive. She had been working missing persons cases for years. She knew the faces of Albuquerque's forgotten women, the ones who vanished from the streets, from motels, from lives that society barely noticed. She stared at the desert floor and whispered to herself, "Could these be my girls?" She'd spent years searching for them, women who disappeared between 2003 and 2005. All young, all vulnerable, many involved in drugs or sex work. Nobody had connected their disappearances before, until now, as the forensic teams began piecing together bones, teeth, and fragments. Detective Lopez watched the names she'd been chasing slowly take form again, not as missing persons, but as victims. For days, the dig continued. The media swarmed the site. News trucks parked along the road, their reporters delivering live coverage with grim faces. One journalist called it Albuquerque's Field of Bones. The images were haunting, body bags laid side by side, investigators marking each grave with orange flags. The desert, once silent, now echoed with the hum of machines, the crunch of boots, and the murmurs of disbelief. Detectives compared every new finding to missing persons reports. Slowly, a pattern emerged. All 11 victims were women. Most were Hispanic. Many were mothers. Most had vanished between 2003 and 2005, the same time frame Detective Lopez had been tracking her cases. Whoever did this had a type and a method. He took women that the world didn't notice, women whose disappearances barely made the news. He waited until they were forgotten, then buried them where no one would ever look. The first victim identified was Michelle Valdez. She was 22 when she disappeared in 2004, a mother of one. Next was Jamie Barella, only 15 years old. She had gone missing while walking to a park with her cousin, who was also among the remains. Then came Veronica Romero, Evelyn Salazar, Victoria Chavez, Virginia Cloven, Cinnamon Elks, and others. Each name carried pain. Each face told a story of someone who should have been found long before 2009. Families gathered near the site, desperate for answers. Some stood in silence. Some cried. Others just stared into the dust, as if trying to see the ghosts beneath. One mother whispered, "At least I know where she is now." That line would haunt the detectives for years. By the time the dig ended, the site covered more than 100 acres. It had become one of the largest crime scenes in American history. But even with 11 victims found, the biggest question remained: who put them there? Detectives combed through evidence. Fibers, jewelry, personal items, bits of clothing. But the desert had eaten away at everything. No fingerprints, no DNA, no trace of the killer. Whoever buried these women had chosen the perfect place. An open stretch of land with soft soil, hidden by time and weather. He was methodical. He was careful. He was organized. And he was gone. Police released a statement. "We believe a serial killer is responsible for these murders. He may have operated between 2003 and 2005. We are seeking any information from the public." It sent a chill across Albuquerque. People realized this killer didn't just exist in some faraway city. He'd lived here. He'd walked these same streets. He might have been someone's neighbor, and he'd gotten away with murder. Detectives looked for patterns. Victims who knew each other, shared acquaintances. One name kept surfacing: Lorenzo Montoya. He lived just a few miles from where the bodies were found. He had a criminal record and a dark obsession. Montoya had been arrested several times for soliciting sex workers. He was known to prowl Albuquerque's East Central Avenue, a stretch infamous for prostitution and drug trade. In 2006, just months after the last known disappearance, Montoya was shot and killed after he tried to strangle a sex worker in his home. The woman's boyfriend had walked in and shot him in self-defense. When detectives learned this, they paused. Could it be that the West Mesa Bone Collector died that night? The timeline fit. The killings stopped after 2005. Montoya died in 2006. He owned a car similar to one spotted near where some victims were last seen. And his home was filled with disturbing material: photos of women, maps of desert areas, and videos he'd secretly recorded. But there was a problem. Police could never find hard evidence linking Montoya to the West Mesa graves. No DNA, no physical proof, just coincidences and circumstantial details. Was he the killer, or just another predator who got close? Detective Lopez called it a haunting maybe. While Montoya was the prime suspect, others emerged. One was Fred Reynolds, a local pimp who had photos of several victims before he died of natural causes. Another was Joseph Blee, known as the Toy Box Killer's copycat, who had been arrested for sexual assaults and had ties to the same area. Each man fit some part of the puzzle, but none completed it. Every lead led to another dead end, and the desert kept its secret. Before anyone found bones in the desert, before detectives even realized there was a killer, the women of Albuquerque were disappearing, one by one, silently, completely. It began around 2003. East Central Avenue, a long stretch cutting through Albuquerque, was known for its neon signs, cheap motels, and the kind of darkness that hides in plain sight. It was a place where you could buy anything: drugs, sex, silence. To some, it was survival. To others, it was hunting ground. The first to vanish was Cinnamon Elks. She was 21, funny, outgoing, a mother. People remembered her smile, wide and warm, the kind that made strangers like her instantly. But Cinnamon had demons. She struggled with addiction. She drifted between motels and friends' houses. One night in 2003, she told a friend she was going to meet a man. She never came back. Then came Veronica Romero. a street-smart woman in her late 20s. She'd survived jail time, addiction, and abuse. She knew danger, but in early 2004, she vanished too. No witnesses, no calls, just gone. Next was Victoria Chavez. She was 26. She'd been arrested once for solicitation but was trying to turn her life around. She told her mother she was done with the streets. That was the last time anyone saw her alive. Her mother reported her missing, but police had little to go on. Victoria's name went into a file. Another woman who might have left town. No one imagined her body would one day be buried under the West Mesa. By mid-2004, more women were gone. Michelle Valdez, 22. Evelyn Salazar, 27. Jamie Barella, only 15. Each disappearance followed a pattern. A woman seen walking near Central Avenue or near a motel, usually late at night. Car stops. A brief conversation. Then nothing. No one saw where they went. No one saw who took them. And for the Albuquerque Police Department, the disappearances blurred together. They weren't seen as connected. They were high-risk women. Transient. Forgettable. It wasn't until years later that detectives realized these weren't separate vanishings. They were the same story told 11 times over. But back then, in 2004, the city barely noticed. Albuquerque was changing. Housing developments were rising. Construction pushed into the desert. No one thought about what the desert might be hiding. Detective Ida Lopez did. She was one of the few officers who actually cared about the missing women. Her desk at the APD's Missing Persons Unit was covered in photos. Faces taped to her wall, connected by scribbled notes and red lines. Her colleagues called it the Wall of the Forgotten. She knew their names. She memorized their faces. And she couldn't shake the feeling that something connected them all. Lopez noticed the same neighborhoods, the same time frames, the same patterns. Most of the missing were young Hispanic women. Most had ties to drugs or sex work. All vanished without a trace. She started running the list again and again, hoping for something. A lead, a tip, a coincidence. But all she found was silence. In her notebook, she wrote a line that would later haunt her. They're being taken, but no one's looking for them. Meanwhile, across the city, a man was watching. A man who blended in easily. He lived quietly, kept to himself. He knew the streets, knew the women who worked them, and most of all, he knew how to make them trust him. He didn't need force, just patience, charm, and time. He would offer a ride, a little money, a little safety. Then, once they were alone, he vanished them. No witnesses, no bodies, no noise, just one less face on the streets. By late 2004, word spread among sex workers in Albuquerque. Something wasn't right. Women were disappearing. Some said there was a man in a truck who picked up girls and never brought them back. Others said it was a cop, pretending to arrest them before killing them. Rumors swirled, wild, desperate theories. But no one had proof, and no one felt safe. One woman named Virginia Cloven told her family she had met a man. He was nice, she said. He wanted to help her get clean. Then she disappeared. No goodbye, no last call. Her father searched the streets for weeks. He put up flyers. No answers. Her name would stay on Detective Lopez's wall for 5 years. At the same time, a mother named Julie was looking for her daughter, Evelyn Salazar. Evelyn had gone missing with her cousin Jamie Barella. They were supposed to meet friends at a park. They never showed up. Julie filed reports, called hospitals, called police. No one took it seriously. The girls were probably out partying, they said. Weeks passed, then months. Julie stopped sleeping. She walked Central Avenue every night, hoping to spot her daughter. Every car that slowed made her heart race. But the car always kept going. By 2005, the disappearances slowed. The streets grew quieter. Some said the killer had moved on. Others whispered he'd stopped because the city had changed. But in truth, no one really knew why. And then nothing. For 4 years, the city forgot. The missing women became memories. The mothers who searched were left with silence. Detective Lopez was reassigned. The world moved on. Until February 2, 2009, when Christine Ross's dog dug up the bone that would blow the entire case open. When the remains were matched to Lopez's old files, she cried. All the faces from her wall, all the names no one believed in, they were finally found. She had been right all along. But for detectives, that revelation only deepened the mystery. If these women disappeared between 2003 and 2005, who was taking them? And how did he manage to kill 11 women? Bury them in a desert without anyone seeing? The FBI was brought in. They created detailed maps of the burial sites. Each body was laid in a separate grave, organized in rows, spaced apart evenly. This wasn't random. It was planned, calculated. The graves formed a pattern, a methodical grid. Whoever did this had experience. He was careful. He knew how to dig, how to conceal, how to cover his tracks. And he must have known the desert well. One theory emerged. The killer might have worked in construction. Between 2003 and 2005, Albuquerque was expanding west. Developers were grading the mesa for new housing. Bulldozers, backhoes, dump trucks. Anyone working there would have access to heavy machinery, privacy, and the perfect cover to dig deep holes without raising suspicion. And when construction stopped in 2006, the land was left untouched for years. Long enough for 11 graves to sit silently under the sun. That theory pointed detectives toward local workers, contractors, and residents in the area. That's when the name Lorenzo Montoya surfaced again. He lived less than 3 miles from the burial site. He had a violent history. He frequently solicited sex workers. And he fit the timeline perfectly. But there was a problem. Montoya was dead. He'd been shot and killed in 2006 after trying to strangle a woman inside his trailer. Her boyfriend had arrived and fired in self-defense. When police searched Montoya's home, they found rope, duct tape, and a video camera aimed at his bed. He'd been recording his encounters, sometimes violently. One detective described him as a predator hiding in plain sight. Still, there was no hard evidence connecting Montoya to the West Mesa. No DNA, no trace. If he was the killer, he'd taken his secrets to the grave. And if he wasn't, then the real killer was still out there. Detectives searched through other suspects. For more chilling true crime stories, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. When the first bones surfaced in 2009, everyone in Albuquerque had the same question. Who could do this? Who could bury 11 women in the desert and walk away like nothing happened? Detectives didn't know it yet, but the answer was tangled in a web of secrets, lies, and fear that stretched across years. And some of the suspects were hiding in plain sight. It started with a list, dozens of names, men who had histories of violence, sexual assault, or ties to the victims. Detectives printed photos, pinned them to a board, and started crossing them off one by one. But one name stayed near the top: Lorenzo Montoya. Montoya was 39 years old when he died in 2006. He lived on a quiet street just 3 miles from the burial site. To neighbors, he was just another working-class guy. Quiet, polite, kept to himself. But behind closed doors, he was someone else. He had a history of violence against women. He'd been arrested several times for soliciting prostitutes. In 1999, he was charged with kidnapping and strangling a woman, but she survived and escaped. He was convicted, served time, and released. When he got out, he went right back to his old ways. Detectives pieced together his final night alive. December 18, 2006. Montoya had hired a sex worker named Sharika Hill to come to his trailer. She was 21. She brought her boyfriend, Freddie, who waited outside in the car. Minutes passed, then an hour. Freddie started to worry. He called Sharika's phone. No answer. Finally, he walked toward the trailer. That's when Montoya stepped outside, dragging Sharika's body, wrapped in a blanket. Freddie drew his gun. One shot. Montoya fell dead in his own driveway. Police later found rope, duct tape, and a video camera inside his home, the camera still recording. On the tape, Montoya could be seen choking Sharika to death. Detectives stared at the footage in silence. If Freddie hadn't shown up that night, Sharika's body might have joined the others in the desert. And the killings might have continued. Everything about Montoya fit. The timeline, the location, the pattern. After his death in 2006, the disappearances stopped. And 3 years later, the graves were found, just a few miles from his home. But still, there was one problem. No physical evidence tied him to the crime scene. No DNA, no fingerprints. The desert had swallowed everything. Without proof, all detectives had was a theory. But it was a strong one. When they mapped the burial sites, they noticed something eerie. The graves formed a loose cluster that matched the same route Montoya often drove. A dirt road near his neighborhood that ended at the edge of the mesa. He could have driven there at night, unnoticed. He could have dug the graves slowly over time, using the same method again and again. If that theory was true, Montoya might have been one of the most organized serial killers New Mexico had ever seen. But he wasn't the only suspect. Detectives soon focused on another man, Joseph Blee. Locals called him the East Mesa Rapist. He was a construction worker, quiet, strong, often seen driving a tan truck along Central Avenue, the same area where many victims were last seen. He had a long history of violence against women. Police records showed he'd been arrested for stalking and assault as far back as the 1980s. And when detectives searched his home, they found jewelry, women's underwear, and photos of young women, some resembling the victims. But what made them pause was this: his construction company had worked near the West Mesa. He had the access, the tools, the time, and he knew how to dig. In 2015, Blee was convicted of multiple rapes and sentenced to 90 years in prison. Detectives interviewed him behind bars. They asked if he knew the victims, if he'd ever been to the burial site, if he was the West Mesa Bone Collector. He smiled and said, "You can't prove that." And they couldn't. No DNA, no confessions, just shadows. Then there was Fred Reynolds, a former pimp. He ran several women who worked on Central Avenue, including some of the victims. When police searched his belongings after he died in 2009, they found photos of several missing women. The same women later discovered in the desert. Detectives believed Reynolds knew something. Maybe he knew the killer. Maybe he worked with him. But he was dead before they could ask. By 2010, investigators had hit a wall. 3 main suspects, all with ties to the victims, all capable of the crimes, but none proven guilty. The press called it the case with 3 ghosts. Each man could be the killer. Each could be innocent. And none of them could tell the truth. As the investigation stalled, Detective Ida Lopez kept digging. She spent years reviewing every missing person file in Albuquerque from 2001 to 2006. She found more than 20 cases with similar patterns, women who vanished under identical circumstances. That meant the 11 victims found might not be the only ones. There could be more graves, somewhere out there, hidden in the desert's endless sand. FBI profilers joined the case. They built a psychological portrait of the killer. A man aged between 25 and 45, organized, meticulous, probably lived near the area. He would appear normal, polite, calm, even friendly. He knew how to gain trust, how to make his victims feel safe. They called him a controlled killer, someone who planned everything, a man who didn't kill in rage, but in routine. In 2011, new technology gave detectives hope. They used satellite imagery from Google Earth to study the West Mesa from the early 2000s. When they scrolled back to 2004, their blood ran cold. The satellite photos showed tire tracks, disturbed soil, and what looked like small mounds, in the exact spots where the graves were later found. Someone had been digging there years before the discovery. Someone had come and gone many times, and those tracks led directly toward the area near Montoya's home. The theory was stronger than ever, but still no proof. Detectives tried everything: DNA testing, ground-penetrating radar, aerial searches of surrounding land. They found nothing new. It was as if the desert had given up its secret once and refused to again. The media coverage faded. The public moved on. But the families didn't. Every year they gathered near the site. They held candles, carried photos, and read their daughters' names out loud. One mother, tears streaming, said, "They said she was just a street girl, but she was my baby, and whoever did this, he's still breathing air." That line aired on the news that night, and it hit the entire city like a knife. Because she was right. If the killer wasn't Montoya, he was still out there. Some detectives began to wonder, what if it wasn't one man? What if it was a network? A group of predators targeting the same women, disposing of them in the same place. The idea seemed far-fetched until they started comparing notes. Several victims knew each other. Some shared the same pimps. Some even dated the same men. Maybe it wasn't one killer. Maybe it was a web of men, and only one of them did the burying. One rumor pointed to a police officer, someone who worked night shifts along Central Avenue. A few women on the streets told detectives they were picked up by a man with a badge, taken to isolated areas, and threatened. But none of them could identify him. No name, no face. The morning sun cast a pale orange hue over the West Mesa. The desert wind whispered across the sand, swirling dust around the white tents pitched over the excavation sites. The FBI had arrived in full force now. Dozens of agents, forensic experts, anthropologists, and crime scene technicians combed the area inch by inch. The scene looked like a war zone. Rows of evidence markers dotted the earth. Photographers clicked away, documenting every inch. The smell of decay and desert heat lingered thick in the air. The media was circling like vultures, hungry for any detail. But the truth was, there was more horror beneath the surface than anyone realized. Each day, the investigators unearthed something new. Another bone, a tooth, a fragment of jewelry. But one discovery stopped everyone cold. A strand of red hair. It was still tangled, still clinging to the skull it was attached to. When they compared it to the missing persons list, the match came fast: Michelle Valdez. Michelle had been missing since 2004. She was 22, a mother, and struggling with addiction. Her family had plastered her photo across Albuquerque for months, begging for leads. None ever came, until now. The medical examiner confirmed it. Michelle and her unborn baby were both among the dead. The revelation broke even the toughest investigators. They were no longer just looking at a mass burial. They were looking at a serial killer's graveyard. One by one, more remains were identified. Jamie Barella, Evelyn Salazar, Virginia Cloven, Cinnamon Elks. The names came like echoes. Names that had once been whispered in worried homes, shouted in police stations, printed on missing posters that time had faded. All of them were women. All of them had vanished between 2003 and 2005. And all of them lived near the same area, Central Avenue, the heart of Albuquerque's street sex trade. Detective Ida Lopez had seen their faces before. She'd been the only one tracking them when no one else cared. "They just disappeared," she'd told her captain back then. "No one's looking for them." Now, years later, she was standing in the middle of the desert looking at the proof she'd always feared existed. The discovery tore Albuquerque open. News trucks flooded the city. Satellite vans lined the roads. Reporters swarmed police briefings, desperate for answers. How had 11 women, maybe more, gone missing without anyone connecting the dots? It wasn't just a crime scene anymore. It was a mirror held up to a city's dark underbelly. These women weren't random victims. They were mothers, daughters, and sisters, many trapped by addiction, poverty, and survival sex work. They were dismissed, forgotten, erased. Now they were headlines, but for their families, the attention came too late. At night, the families gathered near the mesa. They left candles, flowers, and handwritten notes. The wind blew across the flames, flickering them out one by one. And somewhere out there, whoever had done this was watching. Detectives began digging into the women's lives. They combed through arrest records, phone logs, known associates. The same names kept popping up. Men who frequented Central Avenue, known pimps, drug dealers, and regular clients. But none of them stood out. None had the signature of someone capable of methodically abducting, killing, and burying 11 bodies in the desert. Then, a tip came in. A man named Lorenzo Montoya. Montoya lived less than 3 miles from the burial site. He was known to pick up sex workers from Central Avenue and had a long history of violent behavior. His criminal record showed arrests for assault, solicitation, and suspected kidnapping attempts. Police pulled his photo. A stocky man in his late 30s, cold eyes, a mustache that seemed to hide more than his lips. Detectives went to his home, or what was left of it, because Lorenzo Montoya was already dead. In December 2006, years before the bones were discovered, Montoya had been shot and killed by the boyfriend of a woman he'd lured to his home for sex. According to the report, Montoya had strangled the woman in his garage. When her boyfriend showed up looking for her, Montoya came outside dragging the woman's lifeless body. The boyfriend pulled a gun and shot him dead. At the time, police wrote it off as self-defense. But now, it looked like the story was far from over. When investigators dug into Montoya's past, the connections grew darker. He worked as a landscaper with access to shovels, trucks, and plenty of open land. He had a trailer. He owned several large tarps. He often disappeared at night for hours with no explanation. And his home? It was less than 10 miles from where the first bones were found. FBI profilers were brought in to build a psychological portrait of the killer. They believed he was organized, methodical. He knew the area well. He targeted vulnerable women who wouldn't be missed right away. He likely knew them personally or had built their trust before killing them. Every burial had been careful, bodies wrapped, placed close together, aligned with precision. This wasn't a spontaneous act of rage. This was planned. But the profiler added something chilling. This man didn't see these women as people. He saw them as trophies. Each burial was a mark, his mark, to fit Montoya's pattern, to fit his behavior. But there was one problem. The killings seemed to stop before he died. The last known victim vanished in 2005. Montoya died in 2006. So, if he was the killer, why did he suddenly stop? Had he been spooked? Or was there someone else? Another name soon surfaced, Fred Reynolds, a known pimp who'd been connected to several of the missing women. He was also dead of natural causes, but his name kept showing up in police notes, call logs, and witness statements. Some believed he might have helped lure women to their deaths. Others thought he knew who the real killer was. Then there was Joseph Blee, a convicted rapist and serial offender who lived near the burial site. His DNA had been found on multiple sex workers during earlier assaults. He was alive and in prison. When investigators searched his home, they found women's jewelry, underwear, and disturbing writings. But there wasn't enough evidence to link him directly to the Mesa graves. He denied everything, and yet he smiled during his interview. Detective Lopez couldn't shake it. Every time she drove past Central Avenue, she felt the ghosts of those women staring back at her. She'd spent years warning her department that something was wrong. "They're being hunted," she'd said. "Someone's picking them off one by one." No one had listened. Now, as the remains were laid to rest, she made a quiet promise. She'd never stop looking. As the forensic team processed the remains, one detail stood out. The killer had buried the women in pairs, side by side, like he'd arranged them. Most were wrapped in plastic bags. A few had been tied with cords or tape. No sign of struggle, no gunshot wounds, no clear cause of death. It was as if they just vanished into the earth. And whoever had done it knew the desert would keep their secret. But the desert had betrayed him. By the end of 2010, all 11 victims had been identified. 11 names, 11 faces, 11 families who finally had closure but no justice. The killer's identity remained uncertain. Was it Montoya? Was it someone else? Another predator still walking free? Detective Lopez stared out at the horizon of the mesa, the sand glinting under the fading light. Somewhere out there, she thought, the truth was buried too. The desert looks peaceful from a distance. Flat, quiet, eternal. But beneath the sand, the West Mesa still whispers. The wind carries a chill that feels wrong, as if the ground itself remembers what it was forced to hide. 15 years have passed since the bones were first discovered. Yet, even now, no one really knows who buried those 11 women. No confession, no trial, no justice, just silence. But the story isn't over. Not even close. After the discovery, Albuquerque changed. For a while, the city couldn't sleep. Every mother kept her daughter close. Every news station ran nightly specials on the West Mesa Bone Collector. Tips flooded in. Hundreds of them. Some were wild psychics claiming visions. Truck drivers swearing they'd seen bodies in the desert. Others sounded real. Women saying they'd barely escaped a man who fit the same description as Lorenzo Montoya. Police tried to chase every lead. But most ended the same way, nowhere. The community began to fracture. Some blamed the police for ignoring the disappearances for years. Others blamed the media for caring only after the bodies were found. Families of the victims held vigils near the site. They built makeshift shrines, crosses, photos, candles. But the grief never went away. It just settled, like dust over the desert floor. Inside the Albuquerque Police Department, whispers began. Some detectives believed they'd caught the killer long before they realized it. Others thought the case had been buried, intentionally. Detective Ida Lopez had her suspicions too. She'd been the first to connect the missing women years before the bones were found. She'd warned her department again and again. These cases are connected. Someone's targeting these women. But back then, nobody cared. She remembered being told, "They're prostitutes, Ida. They come and go." Now, she stood on the mesa, watching as reporters packed up and cameras disappeared. The story was losing momentum, but she couldn't let it go, because she knew killers like this didn't stop. The prime suspect, Lorenzo Montoya, was already dead when the bones were found. His death fit the timeline. His home was near the burial site. His history with violence was undeniable. But something still felt off. If Montoya had killed all those women, where was his pattern before 2003? Serial killers don't usually start by burying 11 victims. They build up to it. And what about the others? Fred Reynolds, the pimp, had connections to multiple victims. But he died of natural causes. Joseph Blee, the convicted rapist, matched parts of the FBI profile, but there was no direct evidence. Even more names came up: a police officer, a truck driver, a construction worker who'd done jobs near the mesa. But every lead turned into sand. No fingerprints, no DNA, no witness who could say, "I saw him do it." In 2016, detectives took another shot. They digitized everything, every report, photo, and evidence log. They used new technology to cross-reference names, phone numbers, and cell tower data. And something strange emerged. Many of the missing women's phones pinged near the same cell towers, the same nights they vanished. Towers close to the mesa. It was as if someone knew the area perfectly, someone who understood how to move unseen. And then another detail surfaced. Aerial photos from 2004 showed fresh tire tracks across the burial site. Police traced those images to a local developer who'd flown a drone to survey land for future housing. The tracks were never explained. The timing? Right in the middle of the murders. By 2018, frustration reached a boiling point. Families demanded accountability. At one city meeting, a mother stood up holding her daughter's photo. "She was 22, she cried. "You said she ran away. She didn't. She was buried in your desert. And you still don't know who did it." The mayor sat in silence. The police chief promised progress. But there was no progress. Years passed. The case grew colder. And then something unexpected happened. In 2021, an anonymous email arrived at the Albuquerque Journal. Contained a single sentence. "You're looking in the wrong place. He didn't work alone." Attached were two photographs, grainy, time-stamped from 2005. One showed a pickup truck parked near the mesa. The second showed what looked like two figures unloading something from its bed. The images were dark, hard to read, but the license plate was partially visible. Police traced it to a vehicle once registered to a man who'd worked security at the same landscaping company as Lorenzo Montoya. His name, Ronnie Sanchez. He'd left Albuquerque in 2006. He was living in Arizona now. When police interviewed him, he denied everything. "I didn't know Montoya like that," he said. "Just worked with him a few times." But detectives couldn't shake it. Sanchez's phone records showed calls to Montoya during the same period several of the victims disappeared. Coincidence? Or something darker? They searched his property. No remains. No evidence. Just empty desert. FBI profilers began re-examining the case with a new lens. What if there wasn't one killer? What if there were two? It wouldn't be the first time. From Leonard Lake and Charles Ng to Bittaker and Norris, some serial killers work in pairs, feeding off each other's cruelty. Maybe Montoya lured the women. Maybe Sanchez disposed of them. Maybe one died, and the other simply vanished. The theory made sense. But again, there was no proof. The FBI had nothing solid enough to make an arrest. So they waited. There's another, darker rumor. Some believe the West Mesa murders were covered up. That someone, maybe within law enforcement, helped keep the case quiet while the women disappeared. Because many of those women had criminal records. They knew names, clients, maybe even cops who bought their silence. Detective Lopez never confirmed it publicly, but in private interviews, she admitted it was possible. There were people who didn't want the truth getting out, she once said, and some of them wore badges. No one could prove it, but no one could disprove it either. Others think Montoya may have started it, but someone else finished it. A man who admired him, who learned from him, a killer who walked among the search teams, maybe even helped look for the missing. Serial killers have done it before, joining community searches to relive their crimes. Who's to say the Bone Collector didn't do the same? Today, the West Mesa sits still again. A memorial stands where the graves once were, 11 white crosses lined against the endless sand. Each one bears a name: Monica Candelaria, Victoria Chavez, Virginia Cloven, Cinnamon Elks, Julie Nieto, Veronica Romero, Evelyn Salazar, Jamie Barella, Michelle Valdez, and her unborn child, Selenia Edwards, the youngest, just 15 years old. Their families still visit. They still wait for answers. And Detective Lopez? She retired years ago, but she can't let the case go. She keeps the photos in a box under her bed. 11 faces she'll never forget. Sometimes, she dreams she's walking the mesa again. She hears the wind, the sound of shovels hitting dirt, a voice whispering her name. And when she wakes up, she can still smell the sand. The case remains open, officially, but unofficially, it's frozen in time. There's no DNA, no confessions, no new leads, just theories. Still, every few years, bones are found near Albuquerque. Animal remains, old graves, forgotten burials. Each time, hearts stop for a moment. Is it him again? But so far, the killer's trail has stayed cold. For more chilling true crime stories, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel.